Hi, welcome back to another fabulous Shift Your Life podcast. And today we have back again author and inventor and our dear friend Kathy Forti, who created a device after she had a near-death experience. This has been years ago, but this device I find is very helpful for people powerfully setting intention in a very different way for manifesting for self or for others. And today it's me, Dr. Tracy Latz, and Dr. Marion Ross, and Dr. Kathy Forti. So this device, the Trinfinity8, tell us about this. How did it come to be?
Well, it all started back in 2009. And after I had this near-death experience and I came back with all of this crazy ideas in my head, and it became like this magnificent obsession of knowing that, what I was shown that was everything in the universe is mathematically coded. Everything has its own frequency mathematical signature to it. And that if you were able to give that particular mathematical sequence and pattern, deliver it to the cellular structure of the human body, it would have the same effect as actually taking the physical substance. I always liken it to, vitamin C. Okay, and maybe I don't need to take vitamin C. I'll just give you the mathematical algorithm for it. And, this was way beyond me, as a clinical background, I'm thinking like, I don't know anything about electronics. I don't think, and they're basically the guides that came back with me from this near-death experience says, we will help you and point you in the right direction. And they did. And there were times I just wanted to throw up my hands and say, this is ridiculous, and I put all my money into it. Inheritance I just gotten because my parents both died after that. And they left me some money, and I thought, okay, well, let's use it and see if I can create something that's good. And all I did was pray and say, oh, dear Lord, do not send me on a fool's mission. Do not waste this money. I might as well just have gone to Las Vegas and played it all, in a craps game. And it took 5 years to develop it. Sometimes I get downloads. I'd suddenly have all that information in my head, or sometimes I would see pictures. Sometimes I would just, hear words, as they were telling me things. The craziest one was, how do I deliver it to the human body? I can get someone to work with me to put it in a computer program so they were translating all of these mathematical algorithms down to me, streams of information. And, that took over a year to do because there's thousands of them. And, I felt like I was learning a whole different language. And I did work with an individual to put it into a software-based program because I didn't want to start learning how to code computers and make programs and so forth like that. But I couldn't figure out how I was going to deliver it. And they kept showing me a picture of Superman in the Fortress of Solitude, holding these huge crystals and downloading the information about his race. They look in your memory banks. My guides, they were pretty much just, told me that they refer to themselves as the founders from the 8th dimension and beyond. And to me, that meant nothing at the time. But they pretty much said, you know how to do this. You've done it before. So I figured maybe I had in a past life, I don't know, and I was just recreating it. But so when I saw this picture, because I'd obviously seen the Superman movies, I said, oh, crystals. Well, that doesn't make sense. How am I going to attach a crystal to a computer? And new age shops look computers and crystals know nothing like that. And they said I really had to have these crystals grown a certain way. They'd be all natural, but they would be grown so for perfect clarity. So, it took me 6 months to find a lab that would grow crystals from a seed crystal, silicon dioxide, and add it in an autoclave until it takes a month to all these. And then how to detach it. And so one day I'm riding my bike. I lived in Santa Monica at the time, and I'm riding it on the ocean front. And I kept finding my eyes being forced down to look at my handles, my bike handles, and the rubber things on my bike handles. And it was like a light bulb went up. Oh, I can take a round rubber handle and put a square crystal rod in it. And so, then I was off with rubber manufacturers and designing inside sets and so forth like that. And, sometimes you think, oh, I would never do that in life. You just never know where your life's going to land up. And, when I was first led to bring the Trinfinity8 to was Denver, Colorado. It was the International Association of Subtle Energy Medicine. And there were people there from all over the world. And I just, put a whole bunch of computers out and said, try it, because I didn't know if it would, what it would do or what it would work. It was still in its, kind of bare essential infancy stage at that time. And I had a crowd at my booth, because people were telling me what they were seeing around the people, what was happening while they were actually on it. Because I couldn't see it. I could feel energy, but I couldn't see it like some of these people did. And, it's like they say, oh, wow, there's all this beautiful plumping energy coming out of the person right now. And I look over, and what was being played was balance energy centers. Or another one was, they said, oh, we're seeing this kind of shardy glass-like stuff coming out of the body. And I look over, it was release emotional blockages, So I thought, oh, I'm really right on. And then this, this one guy, he was he was an ophthalmologist, a psychic ophthalmologist, and he got on and he got off, and he just cried. And he said, I saw all the beings of light behind this device, and they helped tune my own frequencies, so that I would be a better medical intuitive and so forth. And he said, and then there was this man, he introduced himself as your father. And he said, that was money well spent. And,
Bravo.
and the guy knew absolutely nothing about me. Didn't know my parents had died, didn't know that I'd inherited some money that I used to develop the Trinfinity8. And, I just broke down crying at the time. And it took off. It just took off, word of mouth. And, people would tell me, and one person said, I remember this technology from Atlantis. It looks different, it's packaged different, but it's the still same technology. And he said, I never thought I would see it in this lifetime. And there it was. So, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And once I opened it to the world and started making it available to people and practitioners from all over the world, they were the ones that really gave me the direction. They told me, this is what I'm using it for. And this is, these particular things in conjunction. And this is what happened. And so we started tracking that. And it was like, this wonderful research project out there that I hadn't anticipated, and getting feedback. And we found out things like, things you had to, the things that, even if you were talking about neck, it addressed the neck figuratively, literally, and everything in manner. So
physically, right?
Physically, right.
Right.
It's interesting because this is not a medical device or an FDA approved device. And yet it's got a whole series of miniature programs in it that you can put together. Any person can, to create a protocol for their intention for what they wish or choose to shift in their life or their emotions or what's going on for them personally. Some have been addressing sort of some physical things they want to shift, and some emotional, and some with relationship, and some using it to send, almost like power of eight groups, but it's like you've got all these energetic beings behind it. So you getting on it to set your intention turns on a greater than power of eight group almost in the whole field to send love, light to different areas of the world even.
Well, we've had so many great spiritual experiences too. We've been distributors since, I don't know, 2012, and I've never represented anything that had a response like this. There's so many tools out there. I know I have lots of them. But there's nothing like the Trinfinity.
Well, it's
Yeah.
such a powerful
Powerful.
force for good, I think, in the realm. And I think that's part of the whole mission that you got sent back, Kathy, to do, which you've addressed in different ways, some in your books and with this device. I know that it is exhausting to update systems and to do things, and that makes it difficult at times because you have to keep up with the computers as the programmers adjust those. But it's truly a labor of love because I've heard so much feedback from owners and people who have utilized this device that just report how powerfully it has shifted their life.
It's wonderful for clearing houses, clearing spaces. It's metaphysically, it's one of the greatest tools I've ever seen, and it works every time.
And
Well,
that's
we've used it on animals too.
Oh, pets
And
love it.
yes, animals clearing remotely, remote use, which we, kind of stumbled upon. I didn't realize we could until we started running some experiments. It was sort of unlimited. And my guides did tell me, the ones who were involved in bringing forth this technology, that they infused it with the intent, whatever the intent of the owner was, that was using it, with their own intent. So we always ask people, to set your intent when you get on this device. And for those who can't quite visualize what this looks like, it can be put in any Mac or any PC computer. It has a digital analog converter box, which is plugged into your computer. And to the inside, through the digital analog box are cords that are attached to crystal rods that you hold in your hands, or you can place anywhere on your body if you're addressing anything specific, aches, pains, and so forth like that. And so, it's one of those wonderful experimental tools that nobody thought. Sometimes it feels almost like magic.
Kathy, why do you look so young?
Well, I always, it's like
20 years.
I don't know if it's the device per se, and I don't necessarily, because the device does have anti-aging components, and I did turn 70 this year. And but I always say, I think that when I was in the tunnel and these beings kind of merged with me to come back, on some level, they must have said, listen, if you do this, we'll help you stay and look and feel young like you want to for as long as can be. And I said, yeah, I'm in. Because I don't know why I don't age either. I mean, I'm still very active physically, swimming, pickleball, lots of different stuff. And maybe a little slowing down on some things, but I still feel like a kid inside. Of course, we can all say that. It doesn't matter what age we are, we still feel like a kid inside. It's just that our body doesn't always get that message. Yeah, I think being on this mission, and that's what I call it. It was a mission. If you choose to accept this mission, and I guess I did. And then I went on to do the Ascension11 technology, which was all spiritual based. I always had that in the back of my mind to make a much smaller program, where the other one has 72 different programs. Ascension11 only has 11, and they're all I am based programs. And to really, and a little bit different, even though they still have the algorithms, but visually different and so forth. And to really get a person in touch with who they are as a spiritual being evolving. And when I did it, I knew that there was a time frame, that it had to come out before a certain year because it would be needed. And I think now it's needed more than ever to clear and to uplift and to stay true to one's spiritual soul self during this whole, process that we're going through right now. Humanity is going through.
I think you're spot on. I think there's such a need for devices such as yours to help bring that compassionate love light back, which is interesting. We are now, it's Lunar New Year, the year of the water rabbit, which is meant to be a year of bringing back calming, compassionate energy instead of the harsher, battling energies and fighting energies that we've been in. And so I think both the Trinfinity8 and the Ascension11 really have a mission in assisting with that. So I love it. Whether that's bringing calm into our bodies, bringing calm into our emotions, bringing divine alignment back in for us, or to assist with divine alignment for releasing things that no longer suit us in terms of ways of thinking, and bringing in ways that unify humanity in a lot more ways. So
yeah, getting into unity consciousness. As practitioners, we do a lot of long distance. I do a lot of European programs and Asian, wherever, but I've been running programs for people all over the world. And we also run programs for earthquakes, for volcanoes, for
not to make them happen.
to take care of people and smooth out the rough edges of the weather. And when we do this together, very often we'll have 3 or 4 practitioners doing that together, and it really does have an impact. And Trinfinity is a community of practitioners, and it's a wonderful spiritual community and a very practical community, because people are coming from all different kinds of backgrounds. So one thing I want to talk about for the Ascension11 is the cymatics. In the Trinfinity8, we have fractals, which when you watch are absolutely beautiful. In Ascension11, you have sound made visible through cymatics. They're images that represent vibrational patterns, vibrational frequencies. And the impact on your body, your mind, your soul is amazing. And there are very few devices that do that. It's sound healing at its finest.
So it can fit with individuals, with groups, in person or afar. And, you know, if you want to look at the largest skeptic, probably would have been my kids back when they were teenagers. Now, we've worked with Kathy and have talked to people and assisted with demonstrating these devices, in particular the Trinfinity8, for years now. And, you know, I would set up programs for my kids when they were stressed for exams, or when they just kind of...
The football team, you did it for a whole championship.
I did for a football team. I also have done it with a group of very angry people, and just looking at different things. And, you know, you kind of think your kids think you're a little nutty. I know my kids did at times, you know, especially they would come home and I'd be doing a Qigong routine practice, doing a handstand up against the wall and gulping chi. But, you know, they kind of grew up, it's mom. But when they went off to college, and I would suddenly get a call or a text out of the blue that said, "Mom, could you run a program on me tonight? I have an exam tomorrow." Or, "Mom, could you run a program on a friend of mine? They're really struggling because they had a history of trauma and something happened that just stirred that up." And, you know, for kids to get it, for them to understand, much like doing Reiki from afar or other healing modalities, power of 8 groups, things of that nature from afar, for them to truly get and have an experience where they haven't been convinced of it by someone trying to say, you need to understand this, but they experienced it. And then to come back and say, this is something, I'm in distress, or I want to set an intention for this, or I want to succeed with that, or I'm just not resting well. Can I just ask Mom to run a program of the Trinfinity8 from afar? And they would call back and say, thank you. That really helped. Thank you. So it's all good.
Wow. I love hearing these stories. You know, it's sort of like, as a kid, one of my favorite movies was It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
And it stuck in my mind, each life has ripple effect on all other lives throughout the world, and you just have no idea. And as a mom, you know that you have had such an impact on your child, and as therapists, you have had impact on hundreds or thousands of patients, and who maybe went on to share that with others. And so we never know how just one little person can really help change the world in their own way. And I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about all of the practitioners and people out there who use it on their family and friends and loved ones and colleagues and so forth like that. We're all part of this great cosmic family, and we're all learning.
We're all learning, that's true.
Anyway, it's a
Thank
pleasure.
you so much, Kathy. It's been wonderful to talk to you and introduce you to our tribe. Fractals of God is a book you've written about your experiences and how the Trinfinity was developed. Where can people find out more about that?
Well, you can go to, it's available on Amazon in print and Kindle version and audio version. And so that's the best place to check it out, to get it right away. And it's a book that has done fairly well for being a niche, book that I didn't think would be one of those bestsellers, but, people have told me they've passed it on to lots of other people. Someone has said, I read it 3 times, and I really think, like, you read it 3 times. Why? And they say, there's something in there I learn every time I read it. And, sometimes I have to go back and I said, did I write that in that book? I don't even remember. But it did happen. So thank you guys. I really appreciate all the work and love and that you share with the people in the world and your clients and so forth like that, and that helping bring this technology to them and others. And so my heart goes out to you, and I'm very grateful, and thank you.
Well, thank you. If you're interested in sessions or buying a T8, you can contact us. If you want to have a look at the Trinfinity8 website, which is an amazing site, it's Trinfinity8.com and Ascension11.com to take a look at the Ascension11. You've done wondrous things. Also, let's just talk about your new book, Stacks.
Oh, yeah. I keep reinventing myself every couple of years.
Right, so you've written a couple more books, and you're on the 3rd now?
Yes. It's what I call nonfiction fiction. And
people find that.
Yes, you can find that also on Amazon and Stack's Library of Truth, or go to the stackslibrarytruth.com website. And I'm pretty sure my guides helped me write those books as well, a series of books, very prophetic about the times, while I was writing the times ahead, and a little something in there for everyone, and an enjoyable read about going through portals into interdimensional and looking for truth.
Kathy has some very busy guides.
You never know what's coming next. More creativity.
Anyway, if you have
to be continued.
That's
To
right.
be continued.
That's right. You never know what she'll be up to next. Anyway, thank you all for listening in. And if you have more questions you want to direct to us about Trinfinity8, send an email to info@shiftyourlife.com. Anyway, take care.
Bye.
Where?